The Deep Six. 6 stories from your world in 30 minutes or less. Hosted by Patty Steele and Steve Cochran. The Deep Six is on.
Why, hello there. You have found the Deep Six. Lucky you, huh? Lucky us that you found the Deep Six.
Yeah.
I guess that's more to the point. I'm Patty Steele. I generally can be heard on CBS FM here in New York City. And the eye candy for the show is Mr. Steve Cochran. And where do you work?
Well, each morning I'm on WLS, the big 890, the legendary WLS in Chicago. But you could also hear me if you're at my house. If you're not at my house, I would suggest the radio, your smart device, things of that nature. And the Live from My Office podcast. We do 2 friends, 6 topics in 30 or so minutes. Okay, maybe closer to 45. And we hope you like it. Are you ready?
I'm always ready. You know me, baby.
Let's start with entertainment.
I want you to take the first story, please.
The Deep Six. Story number 1.
There is something going on with network TV. I think the word I'm looking for is disease, death, and erosion.
Yes, lack of quality. Yeah.
People are not watching network television. It's disappearing faster and faster. A lot of folks who this may be a little deep in the weeds and inside the business, but NBC very seriously considering giving up the last hour of prime time, returning it to the local NBC affiliates where they'll probably do something super creative with it, like run reruns of shows from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
And now bad ratings will be their fault instead of the network.
But the one thing that seems to be working in today's definition of working are game shows, redos of game shows.
Isn't that weird to you?
It's a little weird because there is a whole network devoted to it on pretty much everybody's cable system. Anyway, Jimmy Fallon's company is producing a reboot of Password. I don't know if you've watched it. I got to tell you, it's not bad. It's kind of entertaining.
I got to tell you, I don't even remember how Password is played. What do you do?
Well, you have 2 couples,
right?
2 celebrities, 2 regular folks, and Alan Ludden. He gives each of you a password.
Isn't he long dead?
Yeah, in this case, they couldn't get him for the reboot.
Thank you.
He hands a little envelope, and there's a password, and then a creepy voice guy comes on and says, "The password is ratings." And then you have to try to give clues or you pass, and each time you miss, the point value goes down.
And wait, and what's the ultimate goal?
You try to win $25,000.
No, but what do you have to guess?
You have to guess the password.
You have to guess the password.
You have to guess the password.
I thought the password was going to be perineum or something.
Oh, no, but it's funny you say that because that's coming up later in this show.
That word?
Yes, that word in particular.
Well, then I'm going to stay around for it.
One of the things that people seem to be fixated on, and I can't say I'm surprised, is the voice of the password guy is super creepy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's that, and the password is. It's that I can't do it because.
But it sounds good when you do it.
Or
this
creepy.
guy does stuff like, the password is Scrabble, or whatever. It's just creepy. It's just
right.
Creepy.
Like if you said that to me in a bar, I would run out the door.
Now, because that's the new line, right? People could use that to hit on women. The password is my place.
Yeah, you're hot.
Yeah, the password. Then you go, the password is not a shot, loser. That kind of thing. But
passphrase.
I really think that this is a Saturday Night Live sketch that I haven't written, and I need to get it to Lorne Michaels immediately. And I think it'd be very funny if an entire family only spoke in password tones.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, like a husband, wife, and 2 kids. Honey, how was school today? Fine. Are you mad at Mom? He's not mad at me. He just doesn't listen. And the whole thing goes on. But everybody that comes to the house, they speak in regular tones.
Right.
If not louder.
What's for dinner?
Right. It's a whole creepy thing. It's the password family. So don't tell me you can't develop new ideas. We just developed one for a show to follow Password.
Right. To make fun of the show that was on previous to it.
The Password family. All right. Temporarily now let's go back to the real world. And the real world includes people that are still movie stars, but the clock's ticking on Leonardo DiCaprio, isn't it?
Well, I guess so. But here's the thing. He's pretty good at choosing film properties. And I say that because like one of my favorite books of the past 20 years, it was called Devil in the White City. Eric Larson wrote it. It
Right.
sold millions of copies. It's set during the Chicago World's Fair of 1893. And the book rights, of course, bought by DiCaprio, were going to be turned into a movie. 12 years go by, it's no movie. Now he and Martin Scorsese are going to produce a series based on the book for Hulu. And it's going to star Keanu Reeves, not as the creepy, scary, wealthy serial killer, but as this architect who was famous in Chicago back in the 1880s and 90s and on forward. It looks at the building of the fair and this wealthy serial killer who built a hotel near the fair, lured young women who were working at the fair there, provided a nice place for them to live until they disappeared.
Right.
There, it's a passport guy coming back. And it's a true story about the serial killer H.H. Holmes. It's riveting, but it's also, again, about building this stellar, the most beautiful World's Fair in history. It's going to start filming in Chicago this coming March. So you are going to have to report from the scene for me and hit Hulu in probably 2024.
Well, I mean, with my extensive acting career, I don't know why I wouldn't have a part in this movie. Do you?
You
Or
really
this series,
should.
I should say.
Because you have that sort of presence. I could see you dressed to the nines in that 1890s garb. I think, oh my God, I think you'd be perfect for it.
And as you know, I did most of Keanu Reeves' butt double work in his movies. If ever Keanu Reeves had to show off his fanny, they called me in because frankly, his isn't as good as mine.
You know what? I need you to moon me right now on this Zoom line.
I don't want to be judged. I'm going to be honest with you.
Now, speaking of Leo, he broke up with his model girlfriend after 5 years, just a few weeks ago. And a pal of his, pal, says if you look at the 20 plus women he's dated in the last 27 years, and these are only the famous women that he's dated, not one was with him after she hit the age of 25. It's actually true. I went back and looked. The minute a girl meets him, he said, the clock is ticking. Well, Twitter is really going after him. One tweet says, the girl Leo DiCaprio will dump when he's 72 was born today.
Oh, whoa.
And another one said, here's the thing. Titanic turns 25 this year, at which point I assume Leo DiCaprio will no longer want to be in it.
That's tremendous. Do we know why? Is he trying to do like a Jack Nicholson thing?
I think it's just, he does it because he can do it. And he doesn't want the intimacy that comes with a long-term affair where you have to actually work your way through arguments, where somebody has to get up to burp and change the baby and feed the baby and that kind of. I don't think he wants any of that. He just wants somebody who's beautiful and fun and unmarred by time and move on.
Well, it's not for the money. I don't care how good looking he is, because really hot 25-year-olds, they don't get up in the morning and go, you know what I need in my life? I need a 50-year-old guy or a 55-year-old guy with a belly who has trouble staying awake past 10 o'clock at night.
Well, except
whose knees hurt after a long walk.
You're not counting in the to the whole equation the fact that he is a world famous movie star, and maybe there's some positives for these models, and a lot of the women that he dated were models who were looking to become actresses. And I'm sure he's charming. He's funny and warm and rich and good looking. He has faded a bit, but weirdly, men are allowed to fade, women are not. So,
yeah, and it is the money and the movie star thing. I get that, but when
and the charm, I think
is he charming?
Yeah, I'm betting he is when he wants to be.
Yeah. I've only met him once. He seemed like a decent guy. I was busy shooting Keanu Reeves butt scenes, so I didn't have a lot of time to talk to him. But speaking of handsome guys, just a quick opinion, if you would.
Yeah.
In the past few days in America, there's been a lot of discussion of Chris Pine and Harry Styles.
Right.
And what can only be called Spitgate. Can you fill me in on this?
Yeah, Spitgate. It all started a little ways back at the Venice Film Festival when they were debuting this movie, Don't Worry, Darling, which just so happened to be directed by Olivia Wilde, Harry Styles' new sweetheart. And there's a lot of upset between the cast on that show. Chris Pine has sort of been at the center of some of this gossip now because at first it didn't involve him. But what they showed first online was a video of him listening to Harry Styles talk about their movie, and it went viral because a reporter asked Harry, "What do you like best about the flick?" And he says, "I think my favorite thing about the movie." I should do a British accent. "I think my favorite thing about the movie is that," I'm not going to do that. "It feels like a movie. It feels like a real, like, go to the theater film movie, the reason like you would go to watch something on the big screen."
Well, wait, is Harry Styles a dumb guy? Because that's a dumb guy.
Yeah, no, he never has appeared to me to be a dumb guy. In fact, when he like sat in for Jimmy Kimmel at one point last
I
winter,
thought.
and he was
So is
really
he just tap
funny and warm.
dancing around trying to excuse his
Maybe
girlfriend's
he doesn't
movie?
like the film and he didn't have
Yeah.
anything else to say about it.
Yeah.
Well, Chris Pine was sitting behind him, and you watch him glaze over and just stare at the ground. And again, Twitter goes nuts. They say he is 100% disassociating. One tweet says, "Chris Pine looks like a white suburban mom the morning after a wine night crying jag. Chris, just depuff and disassociate." Then the next day at the premiere, Harry walks in. He sees his girlfriend / director, Olivia Wilde, sitting next to Chris Pine. Harry has a seat on the other side of Chris with his name on it. He goes to sit down. Looks like he spits in Chris's lap. Chris had been clapping. He suddenly freezes, looks at his lap, stops clapping, and gets this like, okay, holy crap smile on his face.
And everybody started speculating.
Yeah.
Did
And Harry looks at
Styles
Olivia, gives
spit?
her a little short smile, and he sits down. And everybody's now, of course, Chris's people said, "This is absolute, this simply did not exist. It's a blatant attempt to create drama, blah, blah, blah." But I got to tell you, like the Zapruder film at my house, I looked at it upside down, every which way. I blew it up. I zoomed in. I finally called my expert 23-year-old son, Will, into the game. And I said, "You tell me what you see here." And he said, "He absolutely hawked a loogie on him." And I said, "Well, I don't know if it's a loogie, but there was a little spit maybe."
There was some
He said,
spittle.
and so we zoomed in and he said, "Yes, you see right there, I see a little sparkle coming out of his mouth."
That's fantastic. How much time do you think you spent that you'll never get back again analyzing this?
Well, I have to admit, it was on a day that was weirdly not busy for me, and it was raining here. So, hey,
there you go.
got to kill some time somehow, right?
Yeah. And we're not huge Chris Pine fans here. So the idea that he got spit on, worse things could happen.
It's kind of funny. Yeah, he can be a little full of himself, that's for sure.
And but I like Harry Styles. I've never met him. I don't know him. But Harry Styles, I pull for him.
He's funny.
He seems funny. He's incredibly talented. He looks delightful in a skirt, or is that a kilt, or whatever he's wearing?
Or a fluffy sweater or blouse. Yes, he
Hey,
does.
speaking of movies, let me give you one more in entertainment.
Okay.
This is a piece that came out again in the last few days about the 14 greatest movie endings of all time. And obviously, this is a Reddit thread because it's all subjective and it sounds like something that you would do on Reddit.
Who decides to stop at 14, I wonder, too?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because the movie that I would choose as the best movie ending of all time is not on this list.
Oh, really?
Movie that I know you love, and I think you're going to say also not on this list. Let me just fly through the ones that they did pick. The Truman Show. These are great movie endings.
Yeah.
The Truman Show. And why? Because we find out at the Truman Show, in the end, Jim Carrey finds out his whole life's in a reality show bubble.
Right.
And way ahead of his time. I may be one of the few people that ever that existed didn't see There Will Be Blood.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know the ending, but There Will Be Blood made the list.
Well, here's the worst part. I feel like I saw it and I have no memory of it.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan's Memento, the 2000 movie, a twisty story of a man experiencing a certain type of amnesia. Guy Pearce, suffering short-term memory loss, prevents him from creating new memories. His last memory is of a wife dying, and he's out for vengeance. I did not see Memento either.
I did not. I don't think I did.
A great movie.
I watch a lot of movies, so I'm not 1,000% sure, but nothing that impressed me.
A great movie comes in at number 11. I will say that I think this is more of a guy movie. Heat. The
Oh,
only movie
Catherine.
starring Pacino and De Niro together.
Right. And who was the woman in that? Was it Kathleen Turner?
No, they're thinking Body Heat.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I mixed up my heats.
Yes. But Heat is a cops and robbers shoot him up in very violent and a bunch of dysfunctional people, including on the cop side. Great ending in Heat. The Mist comes in at number 10, a horror movie. I don't know. The Sixth Sense in at number 9. I See Dead People.
I see dead people. Is that how it ended? I see dead people, or is that just?
Yeah, I
Remember.
think so. I think that's the end. And that's one of those M. Night Shyamalan ding dong movies.
Shyamalan.
Whiplash came in at number 8. That's the Damien Chazelle movie from I think 2014, where the great J.K. is it Simmons or Simons?
Simmons.
J.K. Simmons plays the
think.
brutal music teacher.
Right.
Don't remember how it ended, but I knew I liked it.
Right.
The Usual Suspects in at number 7, where you find out the criminal mastermind is the one that looks like the most beaten down of the gang himself, played by Kevin Spacey. Number 6, Some Like It Hot. Great movie. Number 5, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Number 4, Fight Club. And then the top 3 are Inception, Fallen with Denzel Washington. I don't remember anything about this movie. They say it's the most underrated Denzel film. Do you remember Fallen?
No. What's it about? Do you know?
It said it's a cult following. It's a homicide detective who witnesses a serial killer's execution. However, not long after his death, the killings begin again.
Oh,
The
good.
similarities make investigators believe it's a copycat. The ending is one of the most shocking in movie history.
Wow.
I don't know it. And then Identity with Ray Liotta comes in at number 1, which again, a movie that I hadn't seen. And I see a lot of movies like you. I've only seen like 4 or 5 movies on this entire 14 movie list.
Wow. Yeah. I may have seen more than that, but they didn't resonate with me. So might as well say I didn't see them. I have
So
a
how
couple.
good were their endings if you don't remember?
A couple that belong on there. Have you ever seen Primal Fear with Ed Norton?
Yes.
That has
Yes.
that ending. Well, I can't say it because if somebody hasn't seen it, but it has the most, oh my God, ending. Richard
100%.
Gere really gets it handed to him in that. And then I love the movie Lincoln. And I
Same here.
love the delicacy of the ending of that is just remarkable.
It's an amazing movie. And I'll give you another one that smacks of politics, and that's Charlie Wilson's War with Tom Hanks, where you go through the movie learning of the true story of the Afghan rebels beating the big bad Soviet Union in the 80s with the help of this relatively unknown congressman from Texas named Charlie Wilson, manipulating Congress to send progressively more money over to buy things that will blow up Russian helicopters and various things until Russia runs out of money and goes home. And at the end of that movie, Charlie Wilson is sitting in Congress in the Appropriations Committee, and he's getting laughed at when he wants more money to build schools for Afghan kids. And he says, because if we miss this, we've done what we've always done, where we get the game right and we screw up the ending. Point being, if we build schools now, maybe we won't have a whole generation of rebels and
we educate them out of that.
Educate them out of
We
it,
hope.
show them that we're on their side.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't have Osama bin Laden and 9/11. All true.
Yeah.
But a great ending. Because to me, a great movie ending is you're talking about it on the way to the car. You're talking about it in the car. You wake up the next day and you're talking about it some more.
Well, here we are many, many years after the fact. And I was telling you earlier about a movie that I loved. And I can't remember the movie. I can only remember the final scene. And the final scene fades to black. And you hear a horse trotting across cobblestones through New York City of the 1800s. And it's so evocative. Oh, here I go again. Thinking about it, I'm getting like little chills down my spine. And that to me, it was such a great ending, but you would think that I would be able to figure out the name of the movie. So if anyone listening to this has any idea, please write to Mr. Cochran and or me.
Yeah, thecochranshow@gmail.com. What's the clip-clopping movie Patty's talking about?
Yeah, the ending, fade to black, and a horse trotting through New York City streets across cobblestones at night.
Sounds good. And I believe I'm right about this. The horse won an Oscar, right?
Well, somebody should have, but then again, if I can't remember the name of the movie, there is something wrong with it.
Oh, I believe I'm wrong. I'm being told the horse actually won a bucket of oats. But either way, that's not bad.
Yeah, probably prefer the bucket of oats, actually.
The Deep Six, number 2.
Let's move on to TikTok. Do you scroll through TikTok much?
Here and there. Yeah, I get some TikTok info. I get, I kind of like finding I'm really boring. I think like finding things like recipes and that kind of thing.
Man, listen, that's one of the top clicked on things that goes on at TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
That and lip syncing other people's songs.
There is that. Dancing to other people's songs in your underwear.
You found something that on the surface appears to be disturbing, but then maybe is a little more obvious.
Or on the surface, it appears to be really sweet, and then it turns dark. I don't know.
Well, yeah, whatever your take may be, but explain.
So on TikTok, there's this thing called the pigtails experiment. And it first showed up maybe a little less than a year ago by this woman who posted in September that she's a waitress. And she said she just made more tips when she wore pigtails to work. So her video, for whatever reason, resurfaced this summer. And the trend, it just went a little bit viral and the trend picked up. And so this one woman wrote, as soon as I put on those braids, I'm telling you, something just clicked with these men and they started throwing money at me. And I'm going, they're throwing money at you. Why? This woman, her name is Veronica Portillo. She works as a dancer at a strip club in Tennessee. And so she posted a TikTok video with her in pigtails at work. And weirdly, she said she got 6.5 million views. I'm thinking, are you sure the braids are what they were looking at?
Yeah, because it seems like there may have been something else going on.
The cute little braids bouncing up and down. I don't think that's all they were looking at.
But I will say that we are simple.
Yes.
We men, we are simple.
Look at her braids, etc.
Speaking of men and TikTok, I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't sun my perineum. And I don't advocate anyone else doing it as well.
Well, you know what? I'm actually congratulating you on that because you need to protect it. I realize from all of those stupid ads on TV about the danger to your perineum from certain drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you take that drug if you're going to get a fungus on your perineum?
I was in a band called Perineum Fungus. Do you remember that? The latest TikTok trend has seen a mass number of users strip off in public and point their private parts up to the sun in order to increase the strength of those body parts. However, despite the social media, experts advocate that there are no benefits to, quote, sunning your holes. And real experts, real skin doctors have warned against the practice, saying it is potentially deadly. And at the bare minimum, you're going to be miserable. Here's how it works. You lie on your back or you get in the downward dog pose. You spread your legs wide in the air and you expose your nether regions to the sun for as long as you can. The hashtag perineum sunning has blown up on TikTok for months. And there's someone named Paulie Long who got 8.5 million views of his perineum. Listen, America and the world at large, get out of the house, get some fresh air, but don't show your perineum to the sun.
I got to tell you, I work for a radio group called Odyssey here in New York. And one of our other stations is WFAN. The morning guy there is Boomer Esiason, who, of course, used to be with the Giants.
Yeah, right.
And he's big on sunning his perineum. They've talked about it endlessly on the show. And the value.
Does he truly believe it's healthy?
I don't really think so. You know, it's funny because I frequently arrive at work at the same time and we ride up. So the next time I'm in the elevator with him, I'm going to say, come on, just talk to me.
And by the way, not creepy at all to have that conversation in the elevator at 4:00 in the morning.
No, not at all.
So let's continue the social media if we can as we go to topic number 3. Do you frequent the Nextdoor site? This is the neighbors social media site.
Yes, I do. And honestly, I am completely driven crazy by it because I got on it because my once again my son Will said, "Oh, you got to do that." He said, "I'll connect with you because I'm on it." And I said, "Okay." So I get on it. He doesn't ever either connect with me, respond to me, or anything. But I get, first of all, I wanted to be just, you can't draw like a perimeter around your little neighborhood. I'm getting stuff from towns 10 miles away.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because it's all about, people, oh, I have this to sell or I'm looking for a job. It's like it's the most irritating thing in the world. And it lights up my phone 10 times a day or more.
Well, if you're on Twitter, hashtag best of next door exposes the nonsense that goes on there. But it's essentially Twitter for old people.
Is that what
Gladys Kravitz is looking out the window in their neighborhood.
Right.
There is a woman, I'm just going to give you a few here. A woman on Nextdoor was looking for volunteers to come serve as the wait staff for last Thanksgiving's dinner at her house.
Volunteers. Oh, but you'll get a chicken drumstick or a turkey drumstick, maybe.
Yeah, because nothing else is going on Thanksgiving in your world. Why wouldn't you go to that house and do it
right for free?
The best of Nextdoor, including this. I'd like to report a crime. People in our neighborhood still have their Halloween decorations up.
Oh my God.
That was a Nextdoor crime as it was reported.
That you're not a fun person if you're worried about that.
And this has been a problem for a long time. The Starbucks holiday cups.
Yes.
But it's a picture of the Starbucks holiday cup. And it says, see the first part of the cup here? Looks like a profile depiction of a bowl. After some internet research, I learned the bowls are used for marijuana, the devil's plant, all in caps.
Uh-oh.
Starbucks wants to ruin the image of a good Christian holiday with this garbage. I won't have it. Nextdoor, urgent alert. Could everyone be quiet for a few minutes? I'm trying to sleep. See, that's funny to me because that has to be somebody with a sense of humor.
Okay, I'm looking at all the ones that popped in yesterday. No, day before yesterday.
Right.
I have somebody that said alert, and then with skulls, it says dead shark spotted in the water. Guess what? I live easily an hour from the beach here. Why am I getting that?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
It drives me absolutely. Does anybody know about the water shortage? Is it possible that we can water our lawns? I mean, I don't know what it is that people want to engage with a million people about these questions, but yeah.
Well, and there's issues that come up at times where you're a little confused and maybe you're trying to sell something, but you don't know exactly what you have. And there's a picture of what clearly are, and the only reason I know this is because I do my research, anal beads.
Oh my goodness.
And it's for $10. You can buy these. And this person innocently says, I think this is a pull start for the dishwasher. No.
What are they doing?
No, actually.
Oh my God.
Actually, it's not. It's not at all.
It's a pull start for something.
So check it out. Nextdoor. That's topic number 3.
Yeah, just don't sign up for it.
The Deep Six, number 4.
So we talked about Nextdoor. Now I want to talk about in your house.
Yeah, because I think you'd agree, the longer you're married, the more you learn, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
trial by fire.
At what point do you think you stop getting advice from people about relationships? I mean, is there an age to that, or more importantly, an amount of years you've been married, like at 10 years, at 15
years? Are you talking
years?
about advice from the person you live with?
Well, advice in general, where people say, don't say this or don't say that.
No, there's no end to that.
So it really depends on the friend, is what you're saying.
Well, it depends on the friend. And it's also how much you offer. I think that's part of it as well,
Well, I have a list of 5 things to never say to your spouse, 5 things to never say to your spouse. And right now, if you are in fact married or even in a long-term relationship, alarm bells should be going off in your head going, oh, when he says this.
Oh, I know that feeling. Then you go, yes, here's the thing. It's like when Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen have a fight. She goes to their mansion down in Costa Rica. I get in the car and I drive around and go, you know what? You said this. I'll tell you what I should have said to you. Yeah.
This is from Best Life, the website Best Life.
Okay.
First thing on the list, maybe we should get a divorce. Well,
Oh, well, that's kind of a non-starter. I mean, okay, we're done now.
psychologists say it should probably go without saying, but if somebody throws around the word divorce in conversation with your spouse, the fight's going to get bigger, not smaller.
Mhm.
Unless you truly mean it, never say it because the other person will never forget you did.
Right. I totally agree. You know what? There's a million things that people say, and I always say the exact same thing. You can't take it, but you can change. You think you're changing the story by saying something different, but honestly, you're just adding to the story. And you may say something nice, but it does not undo the harm you've done by saying something vicious.
You know, and don't you think it's true that when you're at your absolute most pissed off, you got to
Mhm.
walk away? You go,
You
listen,
what? Yeah.
you got to walk away.
Yeah.
Because you're
yeah.
at that point where you have to literally say out loud, I'm about to say something that you'll bring up 20 years from now. So I'm going to go for a 20-minute walk and I'll be back.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Now, unless you go back to point one where your 20-minute walk is to a divorce attorney. I mean, who am
Yeah.
I to judge?
Or while you're walking, you say, I know what I'm going to say next. You're
So
planning
5
the
things never to say to
attack.
your spouse. You
Okay.
should never use the words always or never in a negative way. For instance, you always do this or you never do this.
Oh my God, I always do. I always do that. In fact, I do it so much that my husband makes fun of the way, because he's from a different part of the country than I am. He says, I don't always. That's how you say always, which of course makes me only madder.
So you never don't do that.
I never don't do that.
Okay.
I always use always and never.
Here's another thing you're not supposed to say to your spouse. You're disappointing me.
Oh, really?
I don't agree with that one.
I don't
think
agree with that one either, because I think it's a way of expressing without saying you always do that. It's a way of saying you're disappointing me right now, and I don't think that is what you mean to do. Maybe you follow it with that.
Well, the one you don't want to follow it up with is point number 4. Well, my ex wouldn't have done this.
Ew, no.
Really?
Yeah.
You need a scientific study to know that's a bad
another
idea?
one of those non-starters. Yeah.
And
Whatever.
finally, number 5, either why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Or what were you thinking?
Oh, I'll explain what I was thinking when I did that horrifying thing.
I don't know. Why are you doing that? I don't know that that's a terrible thing to say.
Yeah. You were looking for an explanation for a completely stupid thing the person is doing.
For instance, let's say you came home and whoever he is in the scenario, is sunning his perineum in the front yard.
Thank you.
Why are you doing that? And what were you thinking? Both apply.
And why do you have pigtails with no clothes on? Well, I was making a video. I think, you know what a lot of this all has to do with? How it's said, which is why a lot of people hate texting, because you can't tell the intent. If you're simply saying, hey, why are you doing that? As opposed to, why are you doing that? It changes the whole atmosphere.
I'm glad you mentioned a texting thing too, because this is a sidebar again, but I had a text fight the other day with my new boss.
Uh-oh.
In the text fight,
Who won?
she didn't want to give up her point. I was just trying to make mine. We weren't getting each other because it was texting.
Yeah, right.
But I was driving, and I try not to ever text and drive. So as I'm driving, I pull over into a Walgreens parking lot and I text a response. Then I get back on the road to continue where I was going. She texts something. Now I've got to respond again. So I pulled over into a bank. So then I had to text my thing again. I pull back out on the road. She texts something else. Now I pull over into a Costco. If somebody was following me, they had to think I was out of my friggin' mind.
You were looking for what your next robbery was going to be.
It's just bizarre. Oh,
but who won?
I won.
You sure about that?
No, not at all, because it was her versus me, and you know how easy we are as men.
The Deep Six, number 5.
There's a story again that broke in the past few days. Phobias are treated by certain medical experts, and there are needs those medical experts
and
have
psychological, right.
Yeah, to treat said phobias. Let's go to Amsterdam. What do you have for us in phobias?
First of all, I love Amsterdam. So there's nothing I'm afraid of in Amsterdam. However, there's a clinic there that treats phobias. And we saw this story and thought, well, this is interesting. What they're looking for is an employee who can vomit on command.
I'm
In
sorry.
other
I
words,
think you said I couldn't have heard this right. You're looking for someone who could vomit on command.
yes, exactly. So I look at you and I say, hey, Cochrane, would you mind blowing some chunks right this minute at me?
Oh, wow.
And you go, bleh. So that's what
Wow.
they're looking for. And they said, the weird thing is they put this out there on their social media site. They said there are so many applications, it's impossible to oversee. This is a clinic that treats anxiety, PTSD, phobias like needles, heights, fear of vomit. And so what they want is someone who can regurgitate at will, so that said phobic, the person comes in and they stand in front of you and you just on command vomit at their feet. And this has to happen repeatedly. So the person so they sort of get numb to it, I guess.
I
And
don't know
that's
which
really,
job is more horrible, the vomiter or the doctor who thinks this is the treatment.
yeah, well, what's interesting is all these people who applied for it, they said they're not telling how much the puke position is going to pay, but they said that there were way more applications than they expected. One person wrote, now I can finally share my art, vomiting on command.
It's beyond bizarre. I would hope people are helped by it, but you also have other phobias.
Oh yeah. There are some people, and this is like sort of a phobia, but it's also sort of just a reaction. There are apparently people who can't stand the sound of somebody chewing. And they say it's actually a disorder, a brain disorder called misophonia, not phobia, but phonia, where sounds can cause you to feel extreme anger or disgust. And they say 1 in 5 people has this. And typically, like if it's a clock ticking or something, you train yourself to ignore the clicking of the clock. But they say that it's that people that have misophonia can't get away from that. And they've discovered that they have this connectivity with a part of the brain related to disgust. I'm in touch with my own disgust, but I don't like freak out over it.
Yeah, now I'm getting very interested in the science side of me and this. So give me another one.
There's one. Oh, see if you can guess what this means. Thinoporophobia.
Fear of thin people.
Or thin people with big pores. No, that's actually the fear of autumn, this lovely season we find ourselves
A
upon.
fear of fall?
Yes, not falling, but autumn.
I'm guessing
season.
I'm guessing you can't live in Vermont if this is your phobia.
No, right? Oh my God, you'd be a mess all the time.
That's just completely bizarre.
Yeah.
It's easy to go ahead and Google weird phobias to see if you have any of these, but yeah, here's just a couple of more of these. Taphophobia. What do you think that is?
You don't like tap dancers. I don't know.
It's actually better than a real answer. It's fear of being buried alive.
Tapophobia? Oh,
Taphophobia. And it came around.
I now have that fear. It wasn't even something I thought about before.
It came around during the 1700s where people would be mistakenly diagnosed as dead and then buried.
And they're going tap, 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 tap.
That's it.
Wow. Oh,
That's
good. Oh, creepy.
How about this? Isotrophobia. You would probably thought it's fear of President Eisenhower.
Or fear of being frozen. I don't know.
Isotrophobia is fear of mirrors. I have this every morning at 4:30 when I leave my house.
You scream as you look in the mirror.
Well, good God, you can't go out like that.
Who the hell is that?
Ombrophobia.
Ombrophobia.
Fear of rain.
Really? Now that's weird. I know I'm one of the things people are into are this ombre look with their hair, but that has nothing to do with rain.
And there are similar fears of hurricanes, snow, cold, and wind that all have specific names. And none of them can be saved by someone vomiting at their feet.
What is fear of clowns? What do you think that's called?
What is fear of clowns?
Well, there are a lot of people who are, it's coulrophobia. Coulrophobia. That's a fear of clowns.
A lot of people have that.
A lot of people have that. It's become very popular actually to have.
Oh, really? So like a lot of people are doing it just to be hip?
Yeah, because, clowns, yuck. and they're fun and they're nice if they're not killing you.
And
Well,
this is one, I'll leave you with this one. I don't know really how you get through the day with this one. Numerophobia,
fear of numbers.
fear of numbers.
Yeah, that
Fear of
is
numbers.
weird.
The sensitive person believes giant ones and zeros are hiding under the bed. That's not giant ones and zeros. That's just the creepy neighbor kid who's hiding under your bed who happens to code in his spare time.
Well, here's another one, and I don't even know if I can pronounce this. Visiosubredophobia.
Oh, sure. Visiosubredophobia.
Visiosubredophobia.
Yeah, I'm totally familiar with it.
It's
But
the
you go
fear
ahead
of
and tell everybody what it is.
it's the fear of smiley faces.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, why does everything have to have a name? Because
Yeah.
then it becomes an official disorder. Like I look at a smiley face and I freak out.
There's somebody at a university that probably got $100,000 in grant money to go ahead and name that.
The Deep Six, number 6.
There is a new Apple Plus show
Mm-hmm.
on Hillary Clinton. I think it's called
Gutsy.
Gutsy. That's it. That's it.
Yep.
And there was something that kind of made breaking news off of Gutsy.
Yeah. Apparently, like they were talking about, somebody said to her on the show, why do you always wear pantsuits? Because that's kind of her signature look.
Yep.
And now we know why. She says she started wearing her signature look after these photos were taken of her in a skirt when she was the first lady. She said she switched up her style after making a state visit to Brazil back in 1995. While she was there, she's sitting on a stage in a suit it was a cream colored suit with a skirt. And then photographers came in and they were sort of below the stage and were taking lots of pictures. She said, I'm sitting on a couch. The press was let in. They're shooting all these photos from down below. And she said, in some of the photos, apparently her panties were on display. And they were later used for ads by this company in Brazil that sells lingerie. She said, all of a sudden, the White House gets alerted to these billboards that show me sitting there. She said, I thought my legs were together, but the way that it was shot, it's, I don't know, suggestive. Yeah, if you can see the first lady's underpants.
So it's clear it's Hillary Clinton in those pictures.
Yeah. And she says, what I realized was there's always going to be photographers around me. I'll be climbing stairs. They'll be below me. I'll be going up into an airplane. I'll be sitting on a stage. And she said, I just switched to pants. So that's the backstory. And I totally get it. I don't blame her.
So, yeah, talk to me about that from a woman's perspective. Obviously, you don't walk around all day with pervertophobia where you're afraid somebody's going to take pictures they shouldn't take.
No, thankfully, because I don't attract that kind of attention.
Oh, well,
That's the beauty of radio.
True. I think a lot of perverts are following you. But in the meantime, it's the first thought, I suppose, habitually when you sit down, close the legs. I don't even know how to put it.
It's also, I like dresses because it's just, I like that feeling. They feel very free. And
Right.
so I mostly wear dresses. And so there are windy days, particularly in New York City. You have this canyon effect with these big buildings. In fact, not more than a month ago, I was walking out of my building and walking up the street, and I had on a kind of a very silky, thin, it's a really pretty dress, very silky with a big skirt, blowing in the breeze. That's fine. I don't care that.
Is it like the hoop skirt I'm wearing today?
Exactly.
Okay.
But you have a petticoat underneath, so that's
Yes, I
fair
do.
of you.
Yes.
But I had on a backpack that had kind of rough, fabric, and I'm walking down the street and I'm feeling remarkably cool and fresh. I get to my car. I take the backpack down, look down, and realize that the backpack had grabbed onto the fabric and hiked up the back of my dress up over my panty line. Nobody said anything to me.
Not even a woman? A woman didn't stop and go, honey.
No one stopped me. And the only thing I could constantly tell myself was nobody noticed. That's the only thing I could do.
That's the best place to live. With that story, you should live in that space.
I actually have a really close friend who was on a cruise ship, and couldn't be more adorable, but she was on a cruise ship some years back, and they'd gone to dinner, and she had on this sort of long column dress, but soft fabric. And she decided to take a stroll on on the deck, all the way the length of the cruise ship. She went to the ladies' room first, then she takes the walk all the way down, and finally an older lady comes up and taps her on the shoulder and says, you know, your dress is tucked into your panties in the back.
Oh,
She'd
no.
walked the entire length of the
Oh,
cruise ship, and only then did somebody say to her, your dress is tucked up. And she said it had happened when she came out of the ladies' room.
Isn't there like a code amongst women to protect other women when that happens?
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it's like, ha.
Oh, okay. But wouldn't you like if you saw somebody, wouldn't you?
1,000%. 1,000%. I would, I wouldn't correct it for them. I wouldn't touch them, but I would just say, hey.
Right.
I think
I'm
you're
gonna walk up and do a reverse snuggie and go, hey, let me help you out here. All right. Well, listen, it's only fair if we did a Hillary story, we should do a Trump story.
Oh, sure. Why not?
And this isn't about nuclear secrets possibly being sold by the former president, though that story could come at any time. There's a new book called Servants of the Damned, Giant Law Firms, Donald Trump and the Corruption of Justice by a New York Times reporter who you may know, a guy named David Heinrich.
Oh, yeah, sure. Of course.
David Heinrich is a well-documented, terrific journalist. And this book took a lot of research. And if you paid any attention to the politics since 2015, over the years, hundreds of people have alleged that Trump and the Trump Corporation doesn't pay their bills.
Right.
Either slow paid or no paid people, including a lot of people who claim to have been bankrupted by him in Atlantic City, where their companies would have been hired to be contractors, and they either didn't get paid at all, or he said, I don't like the job you did, I'll give you 60%.
So in other words, he's like most of those big business tycoons.
Yeah, which he alleges to be, of course.
Right.
Now, the team that did the research on the book reviewed at least 60 lawsuits, and there's been hundreds, along with hundreds of liens, judgments, and other government filings from people who've accused Trump and his businesses of not paying them. The book is out, I believe, by October 1st. I don't have the exact date here, but here's the story which led to this. Back in the 90s, Trump had a lawyer that he owed $2 million.
Okay.
And the law firm wasn't getting paid. So the lawyer shows up at Trump Tower and says, I want my money.
Sure. Why not?
Trump roots around in his desk and then in a filing cabinet and pulled out what he said was a deed to a horse.
A deed to a horse.
And he handed it to the lawyer. He said, this horse is worth $5 million. I only owe you $2 million. You should be thanking me. The lawyer then responded with, this ain't the 1800, pal. You can't pay me with a horse. So it's unclear on whether or not Secretariat's nephew ever paid off or whether the lawyer got his money. But there you go.
Was it Secretariat's nephew?
Yeah, let's say it was for the sake of this.
Oh, so you made that up.
Yes. But
you're defending Donald Trump.
Trump cleaning his filing cabinets, paying his bills. You can't make it up, and why would you?
Well, it's clear to me he had no chromatophobia, did he?
What's that?
That's the fear of money.
Hey, look what you did there.
Hey, look at I tied us together.
I'm Steve Cochran. Live from my office is the regular podcast, and WLS Big 890 in Chicago. You can stream it and then listen to it live if you're here or anywhere near here in the Midwest. I'm in Chicago. You're in New York, and you're on the radio as well.
I am indeed. I work at CBS FM with, I was going to say the great Scott Shannon here in New York, mornings on 101.1 FM in New York City.
If it's too close to the truth, it's not funny. So thank you for listening to the Deep Six, the Deep Six podcast. You can find it on the Live from My Office feed, and also Patty posts it every week as well. And please spread the word and tell your friends. Patty, last word to you.
Well, I by the way, posted at pattysteele.com, and I just want to say I love you for listening. And the more you listen, the more love I have to give.
Thanks for listening. The Deep Six. Subscribe, rate, follow, or review at pattysteele.com or cochranshow.com.